Right. So the PMP is a project management professional. It's awarded by the Project Management Institute, PMI, which is situated in America. Now, then the Prince 2, which is another qualification in project management, is awarded by the UK-based Prince 2 organization. So basically, so one is American, one is UK. So the PMP is American and it's more global. And the Prince 2 is adapted to the UK style. And so it is aligned with organizations that run the UK kind of management, so they can adopt Prince 2 in their organizational hierarchy and in their organizational project management and all that. But the PMP is global. So wherever you find yourself, whether you're an organization or you're an individual, the PMP applies. Okay, that is how come it's tagged as the world's leading project management certification. Okay, it proves that you actually have project leadership experience and expertise. Now, the PMP exam had changed from this year, and there was a slight change to the PMP exam from January 2021. So now the new PMP includes 3 methodologies in project management or life cycles. We have a combination of the predictive, which is also known as a waterfall approach to project management. We have the agile approach, and then we have a combination of both the predictive and the agile, which is known as the hybrid. Now we'll look at what all this means as we go on. Now, so if we talk about predictive, we are just looking at a situation in which you have a project and it is quite a simple task, and so you can plan. Once you plan, everything is in place, you just follow the plan to execute, and then you are done. That kind of project management life cycle is known as a predictive of a waterfall approach in project management. So for work that the scope is clearly defined and you can just do one-time planning and then you execute your plan and then you have your outcome, you have your product, then what you are doing is predictive. It's a sequential approach. Now, then we can also have an iterative approach in managing a project. So this one, you plan, you execute, you send to a customer or stakeholders for them to give you feedback for whatever you've done so far. Their feedback will cause you to improve on what you've done so far, and you keep doing that until the work becomes perfect and is accepted. That is an iterative approach in project management. Okay, so that one allows for feedback, and definitely it will take more time because of that process of feedback, and then rework to do corrections, and then before you submit your final product. Now, the other approach, which is known as incremental, your focus is speed. You provide finished deliverables that are ready for use immediately whilst you are working on other deliverables. So incremental is big project that can be finished in bits, and the product can be put into use whilst you work on the remainder. So for example, you are building maybe a hostel. So your project is to build a hostel with a number of floors, a number of rooms. You can finish the ground floor and you won't wait for the other floors to be completed before you want to go and paint and finish the rooms. No, you could just finish the ground floor, paint, finish it, rent it out, whilst they are building the remainder. That is a kind of incremental approach. So if it were predictive, then you will have finished everything one time before you give it out as my final product. But in incremental, you're not going to wait for all that time. You want something to be ready for the customer to start using as you continue working. So that is another approach. And the focus there is more of speed. I want returns quick. I want results fast. So I apply the incremental approach. Now, when we come to agile, agile is a combination of the two, iterative and then the incremental. So in agile approaches, you are depending on the correctness of the work through feedback. So you are doing an iterative kind of project management, but then you also want speed. You also want speed. So you are also approaching it incrementally. So you are not waiting for 5 years to finish a project, but once a certain part of the deliverable can be ready in 8 months, you are ready to shoot it out and you start making returns based on what you have finished so far and all that. So that is agile project management. So it's looking at both the iterative, it's looking at incremental, put it together, trying to get the benefits out of both of them, then it's agile. Okay, so now if we are talking about hybrid now, so hybrid is a combination of predictive, a combination of predictive and agile. Okay, that would be hybrid. So it is both predictive, both agile is hybrid. Knowing that agile basically refers to the iterative and the incremental. All right, so when you talk of hybrid, that means that we have put everything together. So there are little bits of predictive, there are little bits of iterative, there's a little bit of incremental. Okay, all together is hybrid. All right. Okay, so I mean, we are just introducing on a high level what these things mean and what changes the exam has seen this year. Okay, so still trying to talk about the 4 approaches or the 4 life cycles of a project. Let's look at their characteristics. The predictive, the requirements are fixed. Okay, so if you are building a simple structure, it's a fixed requirement which will not change over time. All right, to not change. So maybe a 2-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom house, nothing will change. Nobody will add anything along the line. It's predictive. The activities are performed once, as we said. Okay, so it is like the customer is not so much interested in coming to check every step of the way. No, the customer just trusts that you do a good work and then you come for his final product. So it's a single delivery. It is performed once for the entire project. One time planning, one time executing, and then you deliver your results. So it's a single delivery, and then the goal is to manage costs. So you just don't want to spend all that time of feedback and all the delays and time and all that. So you manage costs, predictive, straight to the point. Now for iterative, it's dynamic, so there could be changes. It's dynamic because once you go back to customer can ask for changes, customer can ask for new additions to be made and all that. So we have the requirements there as dynamic, and then the activities are repeated until it is correct. Okay, that is the iterative approach. It's a single delivery, and then the correctness of the solution is a goal here. So when it's a single delivery, it's not in bits, okay, as we see in the incremental. It's not in bits. It's one whole product is what is delivered at the end of the project. Is iterative, but the goal here is correctness. That is why we go on with the iterations. We go feedback, we come back and all that. Now for incremental, again, yes, the requirements are dynamic. It's not a fixed requirement from beginning, because incremental, it allows for changes and all that. So customer can come in with so many varied requests along the line. And so it is not just fixed, it is also dynamic. Now it is performed once for a given increment. So now this is it. So incremental, when it comes to, because you are going to do your deliveries in bits, you will plan various bits once and execute it, just like you do in a predictive approach. Okay, but the issue here is that there are frequent smaller deliveries. So because they are small, when you plan, your chances of getting it right is higher. So you don't need to go for feedback and all that. So it's just a small, you just plan a small portion, you execute it, and then it is ready for use. Then you do the next session. execute it, it's ready for use, the next and all that. All right. And the goal here is speed. Okay, so that things will be ready for use faster. Now in Agile, it's dynamic. Requirements will change, it's not fixed. I can ask for something new along the line. I can say, okay, add this. I can say, okay, build this one in addition along the line. So the requirements are still dynamic. They could change based on the decisions of the customer. Now, in Agile, we combine, Agile is a combination of both iterative. So we take the benefits of repetitions in iterative in applying it to our activities. So in Agile, the activities are also repeated until you get it right. So you work on it, you get feedback from customer, it's approved, you go on. So it is like that for the activities. Now, then the delivery is frequent small deliveries, just like the incremental. Okay, so Agile is taking the iterative approach of activities and then the delivery approach of the incremental, so that you can get frequent small deliveries that will be ready for use as and when. And the goal here is to get customer value via frequent deliveries and feedback. So customer value, you just want to give value to the customer. The customer wants to get something running quick, so you want to deliver to him as fast as possible whilst you are working on the rest, so that customer can, if it's income, he wants to start earning from that little bit. Just like the example I gave of the hostel project, you don't want to wait 5 years to finish a 5-story hostel. No, once the ground is free, can rent out, you have some 10 rooms, customer is happy, he will start earning something. Okay, so it's like value for the customer compared to the predictive or the waterfall approach, where you have to wait and give him one finished product at the end of the time, which will limit the ability of the customer gaining some value early enough. Okay, so those are the approaches. If there is any question, you could ask. If you feel okay to become clearer as we go on, that's fine. Can we go
on? Sorry. So I would like to ask.
Yeah.
So let's say, in example, I have a project, let's say maybe run modernization ongoing, okay?
Okay.
Then we have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4.
Okay.
So with that, but it's one project, but just that
it's in phases.
Yes. So under which of this does
it fall? Okay,
yes.
Good. Now, so as you have said, you see the word phase, when you bring the word phase is a technical term in project management. Okay, it's technical. So if you are using the word phase as technical as it is in project management, then actually each phase is actually considered as a standalone project. Technically, when we mention phase of a project, it's a standalone. So that single phase that you are dealing with, whether you perform the activities one time or you perform the activities and try to get input from customer, feedback from customer before you go on to perform the next activity and all that, then you are actually doing predictive or something like predictive and feedback, then you are doing something like iterative. If there is no such feedback and all that, so I'm talking about a single phase now, okay? So I'm looking at two situations where the phase there is being used technically as people who know the technical use of the word phase on a project. A phase, technically, when you see phase in the PMP exam, a phase is a standalone project on its own. It will go through the whole life cycle of a project. It is closed, and then the next phase opens. Technical use, okay. So for that technical use, depending on how you handle that single phase, whether you always do in collaboration with the customer, then what you are doing is iterative. If you do one time and finish the phase before customer comes in to accept, you are doing predictive. Do you get what I mean?
Okay, thank you. That's one.
Good. That is for the technical. Now, then the other aspect of the word face, if it is being used just like an English word. Okay, so the people are not technical here. Their understanding of face is different from the technical use of the word face on projects. Then I'm looking at they want to do a kind of incremental. That is if the word face there is not technical, but it's like parts. So let's say part 1, part 2, part 3. I'm trying to look at the other side of based on the understanding of the people doing the work. Then you are doing something incremental because you want to at least finish something for use. So you have finished a certain batch of cell sites so that the people can start benefiting from those cell sites before you move on to the next one. Then you are doing something incremental. I hope you are looking at both sides of it.
Yes, yes, please.
Exactly. Yes. So that's it. All right. Any other question? Okay. Good. Now, so the exam. So now this is how the exam looks like. The exam now, so this is how even the marking scheme, the grading scale will be based on these 3 domains. So there are 3 domains on the exam. The exam will test your knowledge of people as a domain. So people is a domain on the exam. Process is a domain on the exam. And then business environment. So your knowledge of people, your understanding of processes, and then understanding of the business environment when it comes in during project management is also tested. Now, how you perform in each domain is what will be reported when you finish the exam and your score is being displayed to you. So you will be graded people, how you perform, whether you were average or above average or below average. You see how you performed under people, how you performed under process, how you performed under business environment. And then you are giving your total judgment of whether you have passed or failed. They don't give you the mark as in you got 67% or 80% or no. They only tell you have passed or you have failed. Okay, and the pass mark is known to PMI alone. They don't disclose the pass mark. So, but the pass mark it used to be around 61%. Those signs that they were disclosing, now they don't disclose again. So, but we don't think it has changed that much. So you just want to make sure you have sufficiently answered correctly about 70%. Once you know that you have scored about 70%, definitely you will pass. That is what it means. Okay, so 42% of the exam questions will be based on your knowledge of people. When it people as it applies to project management, then 50% of the questions will be based on your knowledge of project management processes. Then the business environment will take the remaining 8%. Okay, so then we are saying about half of the examination predictive project management will take half. Then the other half will be the agile and then the hybrid. Okay. Now, previously the PMP exam used to be purely multiple choice. 4 answer options, 1 answer choice is correct. But currently, the PMP exam is a combination of multiple choice. So you have multiple choice with 1 answer correct. Then you have options where you have multiple responses. So you could have 2 answers correct. You have 3 answer choices correct. Then you could have matching. You have to match. You have a diagram on the left. You have to match it with that on the right. Some data on the left, match it with that on the right, and so on. Then you could have hotspots also where you click. You have to actually click to choose an answer. You click on an image, you click on a box, you click on something. And then you also have filling the blank. So it's now a whole combination of different types of question choices that appear on the exam. Okay. All right. in case, okay, so let's just, in case the link should go off, just rejoin. All right, in case there's a disconnection, just rejoin the same link that I sent, and then we are fine to go. Okay. Now the domains, talking about the domains, people. So we are looking at your understanding of the soft skills that a project manager needs to be able to lead a team. That's the basic understanding. So people, so everything about the people that are working on the project, everything about the people you interact with as a project manager, stakeholders, you interact with vendors, subcontractors, and so on. Negotiation, and so all the soft skills. So you have to understand all the soft skills, the people skills that is needed to be able to lead successfully project teams. That is what the domain people looks at. Then the domain process looks at the technical aspects of project management. So you have to know the technicalities, the various terminologies, the various tools and techniques, the various inputs and outputs to processes and all that. That will mark your understanding of the domain that is named process. And then when it comes to the business environment, you are looking at how your project connects to the organizational strategy, the organizational goals, and what the organization seeks to gain from the project. So you shouldn't do the project in isolation, but the project must somehow fit into the organizational goals. So if they want to be the top when it comes to telecom or something, then your project, you are looking at how your project ties in to meeting that goal. Okay. So that is how the various domains play in and informs your understanding and what you can do and what you have to do when you are dealing with each domain. Now, the domains actually have tasks and then enablers. So under each domain, there are various tasks that a project manager will have to undertake, and then there are enablers. We're looking at that pretty soon. So the domain is like the high level knowledge area. So you're looking at the domain as a high level knowledge area, the bigger whole that is essential for the practice of project management. Then the task is, let's say, a particular responsibility that a project manager will undertake when it comes to project management in that domain. So we are dealing with people. There's a particular task you have to undertake when it comes to people management. Then the enablers are maybe particular examples of the work that is associated with each task. Okay. So we have domains, we have tasks, and we have enablers. Right. So this is just how it looks like. For example, people. There is one task under people. The task name is manage conflicts. Okay, so as a project manager, definitely there will be conflicts on your project. There will be disagreements. There will be misunderstandings here and there. There will be conflicts, and it will be between people. So that is why manage conflict will be a task for you, the project manager, under the domain people. Now, what are enablers? So the enablers here, this is not a conclusive list, it's just giving examples. All right, so it's just examples of enablers. So specific examples that will fall under manage conflicts, that you interpret the source and the stage of the conflict. You analyze the context for the conflict. You evaluate you recommend, you reconcile the appropriate conflict resolution solution. So these are just some specific examples that fall under manage conflict. Okay. Now, there is another task under people. Lead a team. Lead a team. So what are enablers under lead a team? Set a clear vision and mission. Support diversity and inclusion. Value servant leadership. Determine an appropriate leadership style. So these are direct things that you will bring on board to lead a team. Those are the enablers. Inspire, motivate, influence team members. Okay, she will to motivate. She will to put up award schemes, and you should will to put up forms of rewarding good performance and all that. Okay, reward systems and all that. So it should be part of your enabler to lead a team. Analyze team members and stakeholders' influence. Distinguish various options to lead various team members and stakeholders. Okay. So we are, I will share all this. So we are just looking at examples. So you can just look at the whole set of the tasks and then the enablers. Now, another under people, say support team performance. See, so the whole focus is about team. Another task, empower team members, stakeholders. Another, ensure team members or stakeholders are adequately trained. Task 6, build a team. Then we have enablers there, you appraise the skills, reduce the project resource requirements, and so on. These are all team. Negotiate project agreements, task 8. Collaborate with stakeholders, task 9. And so on. Right. So these are all under people. We have up to task 12 here, task 13, and then 14. That's fine. You have it, so you can just go through. Now, so let's go to another domain, process. So now it's not about people again, it is about the technical aspect of project management, you understanding the project management process itself. So we have task 1, execute project with the agency required to deliver business value. It's a task that you have to undertake to execute the project. Okay, it simply just means execute. Okay, you have planned. So okay, now put the plan to use, that is execute the project. So now you are looking at the enablers. You have to assess opportunities to deliver value incrementally, to examine the business value, to support the team, to subdivide the project tasks and all that. So these are technical things you have to know in order to ensure proper project execution. Task 2, manage communications. Okay, so it's the technicality of it. So you must know your communications. So you have to analyze your communication needs of the stakeholders, determine the communication methods and all that and all that. So it's about communications. Now, task 3, assess and manage risks. You have to know what are risks on your project, uncertainties that could turn out positive or negative, and to iteratively assess and prioritize the risks and all that. Engage stakeholders. It's actually also under process. And it goes on and on. Plan and manage budget and resources. It's a technical part of it. So this will have to do with the cost, okay, handling cost on the project. Plan and manage schedule. So all that about the process. Up to task 17, where we plan and manage project or phase, okay? So this is where the technicality comes in. That a project or a phase, they are all one and the same thing, technically. They all have to begin and they all have to be closed. All right. So this is about technical aspects of knowing the project management process itself. Then we could talk also of the business environment. How does the business environment come in? Task 1, plan and manage project compliance. So now we are looking at confirm the compliance, health and safety, security, health and safety, security, regulatory compliance and all that. Classify compliance categories and so on. Then task 2 here, you evaluate and deliver project benefits and impact. So how would the project benefit the organization, the business environment. Those are the tasks that you are looking at here. Okay, business. And finally, task 4, you support organizational change. Okay, so the whole thing is just about the organization and all that and all that. So you have it. So you just go through all of it and all that. Yes. So those are